to this channel. This is a new channel which will be discussing issues relating to life. And I wish you to subscribe so that when there is anything new in the channel, you'll be informed. The channel there will be new uploads every week, if possible, God's will. And I wish to invite you and to share with others. If you feel this, what you're going to go through is going to have any help in life or to somebody who is related to you. Now, what is weakness? Generally, people talk of weakness and people take weakness for granted. They see weakness as a normal thing in life, but they don't understand the weight it carries in relation to context that each weakness is based on. The word weakness means one having little energy or lacking strength or not physically strong. That's what the word weakness means. Weakness, once it masters your life, it can be a very big demon in your life. It will gnaw your soul without pity. And if one cannot master the weakness one has, it can be detrimental to an individual's life. Not only to that individual, even to others who are relating to that person. Now, weakness is not a new vocabulary. It started way off in history. And since the creation, the word weakness has been experienced in various contexts in life. We can refer it from the Genesis, the book of Genesis, during creation, where God decided to create the human being in his own image, and this he did. And he accomplished his work, saying that now I've created in my own image. God did not have imagination that this human being could try to overthrow his government. And this one was done by the people he created in his own image. Now, these two people, you know very well their names, and I'm sure if you have gone to Bible, but if you have not gone to Bible, I'll tell you their names. These people were Adam and Eve, the fathers of the creation, the father and the mother of the creation. They were Adam and Eve. What did they do? Adam and Eve, when they were put in the garden, there were conditions and there were rules to be maintained for them to stay in the garden. But what did they do? Did they follow these rules God gave them? Like each one of us, even in every government, even at home where you stay, when rules are not laid down, there is no direction in a home. There should be rules. Rules to be followed by everyone, regardless of their status. Yes, that is the home of every person who lives in this world. Even in your own home, you have rules. If you are living single, that there should be food in the house for you to eat. And for you to eat, you should cook. That is a rule. If you don't cook, you will not eat. So that is rule number one for a person living alone. You should have water. Those are basic needs you should have. Those are rules in every house. Now, these people called Adam and Eve, they decided, or they started desiring to be on top like God, because they found everything they were eating in this farm they were given But inside that farm, there was a rule that one of the trees in this farm, they should not touch. But there was one enemy. They were calling Satan. Satan can be anybody. Doesn't mean that Satan that is spiritual. Satan is even physical. The people you walk around with, it can be Satan. This spiritual Satan, he turned into physical. That he could move, but this time he was moving on the ground in the name of snake. And normally, men do not stay at home. You can see even from Adam, he had to go out and loiter as normal. Because there were no football those days, I think you'd go and visit the forest, whatever. They are always out in the house, from the house. And this day, Satan timed, and he knew Adam would not be there. So he knew that women are very weak. When you convince them, they will follow. And this one, Satan did. And he came. He sneaked in the compound of Adam and Eve. And he knew where Adam was, where Adam had kept his wife. And since he was always alone, because Adam could not stay in the house as no man, he went out always. He went and met the woman. Woman, how are you? I can see you have solved several fruits here. Many things. Is there anything that God has told you not to eat in this place? Because Satan knew that there was something. And this one, the woman told him, we are allowed to eat each and every tree in this world, in this farm of ours. But there's one tree in the middle. And this one, God said, we are not supposed to eat. Not even to smell it. We are not even to touch it. And Satan laughed, oh dear woman. You do not know. That really advise you now. The reason why God is telling you not to eat. First, you will be like him. Your eyes will be open. You know good and what is bad. And for that, God has told you not to eat because you'll be like him. Oh, that was a stone from catapult. It hit her such that she decided to be like God. And they thought that once she's like God, she will be able to do everything, like every woman. She decided to break the commandment God had given Adam, that they should not eat this tree in the middle. And what she did, she went ahead from Genesis, the book of Genesis 3:5. She went ahead, picked the tree's fruit, and ate. And what happened after eating? Nothing. She saw she did not turn to be God. To her disappointment, she saw she was not God. But she was not aware. She thought might be the person who is supposed to be God was her husband. So she decided to pick another fruit which she kept for her husband. And when the husband came, she gave that beautiful story. I believe she was telling Adam, now, Adam, you know what? You are the one who is not God. No, you are the only one who has not turned to God. Me, I'm already a God because I've eaten the tree of life. And therefore, I know what is good and what is bad. And therefore, why don't you eat? so that you can be God's two of us. And this one, Adam, without second thought, he took the fruit from that tree and ate. You can imagine. Adam decided to go against God's will, God's commandment. After they had eaten both, now they were satisfied. To their amazement, they realized that they were naked. They realized that they were naked. They realized that they were naked. It came to their amazement that they no longer were covered by anything. They discovered that they were naked, and therefore decided to go looking for leaves to cover themselves. Individual weakness is something that can be very detrimental in life. If you're not careful, it will destroy you. It is only when you get the urge to do what the weakness is telling you that is going to start working on you. When Adam and Eve realized they were naked, the Spirit of God revealed to them that they were no longer with Him, that they were naked. And therefore, what Satan did, he decided to dislodge Adam from the farm with his wife, because he was jealous of the joy they were experiencing in this farm. And therefore, for him to get them out of that farm, he had to destroy the commandment or the rule, to help them break the rules by making the wall in their faith total, so that he could get access of their soul. And this he did. Adam had not mastered his weakness, the weakness of desire, and by so doing, Adam sinned. He sinned with his wife and made God to reject them from free happy life that God had given them. They were rejected. They could not experience the happiness. Adam was rejected from the kingdom as a king, and he was reduced to a slave of his own weakness. Satan uses your weakness to destroy you. What he knows is weak. This is what he uses to destroy you. Satan will destroy you with what he has. Now, with faith, remember, Satan has no power over you. But once the faith is gone, he can control you. To get through in you, he has to use your own desire so that he can dislodge you and destroy you. This is what is found in normal life. Enemies do the same. People who hate you, they'll do the same to destroy you. They get your area of weakness, which helps them to dislodge your anchor and get what is rightfully yours. This is what enemies do. Now, let us see what happened to King Hezekiah when he welcomed visitors in his home. At that time, Baradan, the son of Baradan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he had heard that Hezekiah had been sick. And Hezekiah was attentive to them, and he showed them all the house of his treasures, the silver and gold, the spices and precious ointment, and all his armory, all that was found among his treasures. There was nothing in his house or in all his dominion that Hezekiah did not show them. The Isaiah prophet went to King Hezekiah and said to him, "What did these men say? And from where did they come to you?" So Hezekiah said, "They came from far country, from Babylon." And he said, "What have they seen in your house?" So Hezekiah answered, "They have seen all that is in my house. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not shown them." Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, "Hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days are coming when all that is in your house and that of your fathers have accumulated until this day shall be carried to Babylon. Nothing shall be left, says the Lord." According to Hezekiah, whatever the country had saved, had accumulated for years, hundreds of years, would be carried away because the king had opened the treasure to the enemies. Not only that, according to the prophet Isaiah, all would be carried away, and his own sons would be made eunuchs in Babylon. That means they cannot be fathers. They will be castrated. Because why are they to be castrated? This was effect of opening up to an enemy. When you open up to an enemy, expect anything. Because you are too open, you cannot keep any secret. By showing your treasures, you auction your life. You also auction what you have. Like what was done to Hezekiah, he auctioned the country. They were to be taken to captivity because of their rude mouth and in fighting the enemy in secret. Once you fight an enemy, either knowingly or unknowingly, he will uproot you from your roots and will make you a slave of your own making and become homeless person without anything to call yours. Genesis 4, 3-13. The weakness, when not mastered, turns one to a monster. We are looking at the story of Cain. In this story, Cain, it's a very sad story. It reads, Genesis 4, from 3, it reads, "And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of fruit of the ground to the Lord. Abel brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very ugly, and his countenance fell. So the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you ugly, and why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at your door. Its desire is for you, but you must rule over it." When we look at this story, we find that Cain was God by spirit of hate, jealousy, which constructed a scheme of elimination of his own brother Abel. He planned, and this he executed by killing his own brother. He had a very big weakness of hate and jealousy. Can you imagine? To an extent that he had to eliminate his own brother. Cain was now controlled by the spirit of ego and power, which dragged him to kill his own brother. We too get dragged by this spirit to do what is not accepted. Since Cain could not measure up to his brother's standard, the competition was too high for him. Thus, he could not make it. The only solution was to get rid of him by killing him. And this surely Cain executed faithfully. This started in the Bible, but we also do the same in offices. Our offices we are living in, we work in. When your work is of outshining the others, take this one again. When your work is outshining others, always know you are Abel among Cains. I repeat again. When your work is outshining others, always know you are Abel among Cains. And you should always take precaution in all things you do, because enemy can strike at any given time to eliminate you. That's a must. They will strike because you're outshining them. Do not think you do good to everyone and that you do not have enemy. You have not quarreled anyone that you do not have enemy. Enemies are a must. When you outshine any people, you have enemies. In chain, in the caravans, they are there. They will be at your neck for you outshining them. Now, I would like to look at the other area of weakness, the weakness of power. Now, when you are not outshining somebody like the Abel, there is another weakness called weakness of power. Somebody is in power. Another weakness. A person in power feels he is above. He's very much above. And once drunk in power, and you are not humble and prayerful, you become Hitler or Stalin, who could pluck a chicken, the feathers of a chicken, and its bloody body that is dripping in blood. He would throw some grains, and later on, when the chicken is following him with the grains, he would brag and say, "This is what happens to the people, the simple people, poor people. You mistreat them, and then you give them a little treat. They forget their suffering, and they follow you. With their pain, they will follow you because of the little treats you give them. And they will forget the pains they are undergoing. This is what happens when weakness of power takes a grip of a person. When it takes the grip of a person's soul, one is bound to do some of these things. One, he will become a torturer to maintain his status quo. He will enslave people, a must, those who are under him. And finally, those who are very hard to enslave, he will eliminate. And he will do as he wishes. He will become merciless. That is when you are drunk with the power. In the book of Samuel 18:25, it says, you see this story of Samuel, in this story of Samuel, of Saul. Here, Saul wishes to eliminate David in war, in disguise of him becoming a son-in-law. Just imagine. He's telling David, I want you to become my sons-in-law, but first, I have to send you for a mission. You have to kill Philistines. But since his daughter was in love with David, David had to do it. Remember, and always remember, an enemy will never be afraid, regardless of what you do. An enemy cannot be afraid. Regardless of what he gives you, never ever think that an enemy is afraid, regardless of a good deal he may be giving you at any time. For it will always carry a trap with it in disguise. Any favor that you get from an enemy, it is a trap in disguise. That one you have always to know that. Even after David fulfilling all what his father-in-law told him, that is Saul. In the verses 28, chapter 18, verse 28, it says, Saul still was more afraid of David. And so Saul became David's enemy continually. Even after getting the foreskins of men he wanted, he continued being an enemy. Even after David marrying his daughter, he was still an enemy. This is because Saul could not measure up to David's standard. David overshone him, and for that he had to eliminate him. So when you think that you have done the best, you are making people happy, don't think that they look for a place to make sure that they put patches on you so that you don't outshine them. In the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 9, it says, So Jonathan told David, saying, My father Saul seeks to kill you, therefore please be on your guard until morning. Stay in a secret place and hide. This was a result of weakness of power. When one cannot contain it, it will make you kill, enslave, deny, and monopolize everything and disregard the cry of the people under your yoke. This is a must. So my friend, don't think that you have done the best, that people will love you. Remember, you will be Cain. And Cain must be eliminated. It's a must. It means an enemy maintains status quo, regardless of any phase he may project. And given a chance, the enemy will strike you and accomplish his goal. Always remember, always take care of yourself the way David did. I repeat again, always take care of yourself when you're with your enemy, the way David did. Always But always keep prayers in whatever you are doing. You cannot succeed without prayers. Now, let us look at, I'm saying let us look at the power, the pendulum power. The pendulum power, that is when the pendulum of power swings, what happens? The enemy will do anything at hand to meet his goal when the pendulum of power swings. Like Saul, he is using his servants. He'll use his servants to communicate to him the way Saul was using his servants to communicate with David and to find out about David. Therefore, in real life, it still happens. So when you are communicating, I repeat again, when you are communicating with the people around where you work, where you are outshining, don't think that if the enemy is away, he will not hear. He has several spies. So you are always spied. And always take care of yourself if you are outshining anyone where you are working. When the pendulum makes the swing, it will use those who work with you. And they are used to destroy you and your ego. They've destroyed your ego. So when you are talking in this scenario, when you are talking in this kind of a scenario, always remember, be limited to the policies of work you are doing only, nothing else. Be limited to the policies of the work you are doing, nothing else. When you are relating to work, never. When you're in office, I repeat again, confine yourself to the policies of work. If you are outsider, do not confine yourself in anything else. Don't confine. Always deal with the office issues, because you have several own enemies and you are an Abel in that house, in that place you are working. Remember that those who are involved with you, they are part and parcel of pulling you down. So always take precaution when you are training people in the office, because the power in that office, there are several powers in the office, and they make sure that they pull you down to make sure that you don't outshine them. Even in the houses of holiness, that means in the houses of God, don't think that there are no problems. Even in those houses of God, not all that serves God, that you have to know. Those who go to the house of God, not everybody who is serving God there, no. Others serve idols in the same place you go for worship. We have a good example in the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 24, 8-21. When the people enter in the weakness of sin and power, this will happen. Now, let us see what happened in the story of Zechariah the prophet. Therefore they left the house of the Lord of their fathers, and served wooden images and idols, and wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem because of their trespass. Yet he sent prophets to them to bring them back to the Lord, and they testified against them, but they would not listen. Then the Spirit of God came upon Zechariah the son of Jehoiada the priest, who stood above the people, and said to them, Thus says the Lord God, why do you transgress the commandment of the Lord, so that you cannot prosper? Because you have forsaken the Lord, he also has forsaken you. So they conspired against him, and at the command of the king, they stoned him with stones in the court of the house of the Lord. So, this is what happens. It happened so many years ago. That was in the house of the Lord. Somebody was stoned. It is happening today. In the house of God, it is happening today. Mark you. When people enter in the weakness of sin, I repeat again, and the power, they will not spare you, regardless of how prayerful you are. In fact, your prayerfulness and the dedication to your God is an abomination to them. Yes, mark you. You go the way of Abel. If you come with the fighting spirit of truth like Zachariah, son of Jehoiada, they will not hesitate to stone you to death and make sure even the last nail is filled for you. This is what hate, power, and conspiracy of the evil will always accomplish in life. When God is placed on a fulcrum of individual weakness, thus fulcrum is balanced on the ego side of an individual to attain one's desire, not the truth on the balance. Finally, individual weakness can make one dictator who cares for nothing else except for his egos only, thus creating hell for all those around him or around the person who is in power. He'll experience hell and fire. Yes, always pray if you happen to be under this kind of leadership. If you have liked my video, please subscribe so that you can get in the next episode. We shall be discussing come next week. God bless you.